صباح الشباب، صباح الخير. الصف العاشر الأساسي، حصة لغة إنجليزية. آه، من student book page 48. student book page 48. Just I would like to revise what you had got in the last class situation. This is a revision class حصة مراجعة. I would like to revise. وبالتالي الحصة الماضية أخذنا some points about grammatical points عن مادة قواعدية، نقاط قواعدية. and mainly about making suggestions كما ترى في الصورة أمامكم الآن هنا في the box above. And I said that there are different ways by which we can suggest. If you want to suggest, you can use different ways. What are these ways? First, you can begin your sentence or your question with shall I or shall we? Shall I or shall we? When you start your question in this way, shall I, shall we, this means that you are suggesting. Next way, when you begin your sentence with let, like let us or let me. When you say to your friend, let me or let us, this means this is a good means, وسيلة جيدة for making suggestions. The third way, when you begin your question with how about or what about. How about or what about. The fourth way, you begin your question with why don't we. طبعا تكمل فيما بعدها، بس يبدأ السؤال why don't we، يعني لما لا. ثم the fifth way, using will or want and shall. Okay, then there are different ways by which we can use suggestions. وهذا الحصة الماضية شبابنا these ways are different in what comes next. They differ، تختلف in what comes next. when you begin your question with how about or what about, what comes next is verb 1 ing. شايفون هذه this is a revision class، حصة مراجعة، a revision class. I told you this point. أعطيتك هذه المعلومة. When you begin your question with how about or what about، وماذا عن يعني، فنكملها باستخدام verb 1 ing. Like saying for example, what about waiting here for an hour. What about waiting here for an hour? What are you doing in this question really? Really you are suggesting. What about waiting here for 1 hour? Or how about, like saying, how about going to Amman tomorrow? How about going to Amman tomorrow? What are you doing here? The answer is you are suggesting. Another example, when you begin your question, shall we meet here tonight? Shall we meet here tonight? When you ask this question, this means that you are suggesting, like saying, shall I or shall we meet here tonight? Next one, to begin your question with why don't we? Like saying, for example, why don't we visit somewhere different? Why don't we visit somewhere different? لما لا نزور مكان آخر مختلف؟ Why don't we visit somewhere different? هذا السؤال سألته كما تعلموا سألته مسز حسيني طبعا to her husband. لماذا؟ لأنه last year they visited Australia, and this year she says that what about visiting somewhere different, like for example Canada. This is a suggestion. Next example, you begin your question with shall we take the train or shall we take the flight. بس بناخذ هنا بدناش or. Shall we take the train? Just هذا السؤال بحد ذاته يسمى اقتراح. Shall we take the train or shall we take the flight? Both the questions are really suggestions. آه. إذا شباب هنا حصة بس المراجعة أذكركم فيها طرق مختلفة للاقتراح. يبين مثلا مثال آخر shall I read this story to you. shall I read this story to you. shall I read. إذا دائما كل الصيغ الأخرى وكل طرق الاقتراح يأتي بعدها صيغة واحدة وهي infinitive verb ما عدا how about what about يأتي بعدها verb on ing. So I say shall we go. Don't say shall we going ولا shall we to go يعني infinitive without to. shall we go. I say why don't we visit. Why don't we visit, not visiting. Shall I read, not reading. How about going, not go. How about going. Let us book the tickets today. Let us book وليس booking. اوكي. إذن هذه شباب بس تذكيرا في الحصة الماضية إعادة فقط مشان تعرفوا كيف نتعامل مع طرق الاقتراح. فما هي الطرق المختلفة للاقتراح وما الفرق بينهم من ناحية قواعدية. فكلهم يأتي بعدها verb one without to يعني without to infinitive إلا صيغة how about go what about ويأتي بعدها verb one ing. Thank you so much for listening and see you next time inshallah. Thank you boys.